What's up guys, it's me, Jeremy. From watching Challenger gameplay, there's a lot of small tricks here and there that players use to put them over the top, which can be pretty hard to notice if you're just watching them casually on a stream. But since I'm not a Challenger player, I've brought in top tier top laner SoloRenektonOnly.
What's up guys, SoloRenektonOnly here. I post daily top lane commentaries, quick tip videos just like the ones you'll see here today. I also do coaching videos, item build guides, and top lane tier list and much more. So if you're ready to convert to top lane and looking for a place to learn and be entertained along the way, make sure to check out my channel.
Big props to him for helping me compile this list of tricks, that way all of these things are coming from a high ranking player. Now these tricks are a little bit situational and kind of random, and although you might know about or maybe heard about some of these, and maybe even you've used them once or twice before, but the key thing is that Challenger and Master tier players use and abuse these tricks in every single game, very consistently. And if you enjoy the video, tap that like button, and if you don't, please hit the dislike. Anyways, let's get started. Our first trick involves some tips for trading during the laning phase. Trading refers to using your abilities and auto attacks against your opponent while they return fire with theirs. Your goal is obviously to come out ahead in those trades, and abusing cooldown windows is one of the best ways to ensure that you win your trades. Abusing cooldown windows is a pretty simple concept and allows weaker champions to win trades when timed correctly. A cooldown window appears when someone uses an ability in lane. Once an ability is used, that champion becomes much weaker until the ability comes back up off cooldown. This is the timing window to target to win trades very easily. A good example of this that SoloRenektonOnly gave me is Renekton versus the reworked Shen. Shen's W grants him 100% dodge chance for a little under 2 seconds, and is the key ability Renekton needs to play around. In order to create a cooldown window, Renekton walks up and pressures Shen, who activates his W, expecting Renekton to use his stun, but Renekton baits it out, waits a little bit, and abuses the 18-second Spirit Refuge's cooldown by initiating a trade during the cooldown window, resulting in an easily won trade later on after he baits out the W. Baiting abilities out and trading during their cooldown window is crucial to building advantages in lane. But it doesn't have to be something that complex. It can be as easy as a champion using an ability to CS that opens up a cooldown window for you to abuse. The next trick involves using abilities to face check bushes. There's a lot of mechanics in League that are only identifiable when there is a nearby enemy champion, but these things still interact with enemy champions in the same way regardless of if you have vision of them or not, and so you can use them to be able to face check bushes. First off, you have abilities that can only be activated when there's a nearby enemy champion. Tryndamere's W, Morgana's ultimate, and Katarina's ultimate can all be used to face check a bush or even find a champion in stealth, just by seeing whether or not the ability is able to be activated. If it can be activated, there's someone in that bush or someone stealth nearby. This also works with Vladimir's E, shooting a projectile into a bush, and any ability that has any sort of buff when you hit a champion, like Cassiopeia's Q with the movement speed, or Ahri's passive with the spell vamp. As well, a majority of skillshot abilities have audio cues when they hit someone, even if you can't see the person in the bush. So maybe next time consider turning your game sounds up when playing in ranked. Overall, the amount of incredible abilities that this applies to is a big reason why you should never face check a bush, because most of the time you actually don't have to face check it at all. That and, well, the fact that you might die instantly if you face check, of course.
For our next tip, we're going to make the most out of Rift Herald. The Herald's buff is so underused and undervalued in solo queue, but if you use it properly, it can give you an advantage big enough to get your snowball rolling. The Rift Herald buff grants the holder 10% increased damage, plus 40 movement speed, and grants 40% attack speed to nearby minions. One of the best ways to snowball the mid game is abusing the Rift Herald buff to take down early towers. Using Herald buff to take the 3 enemy outer towers will lead to a 2800 gold swing, something that can easily be snowballed into a victory. When you take Rift Herald, the best thing you can do for your team is to immediately look to push down towers. Just be careful when trying to take Rift Herald because he deals a lot of damage, so make sure the buff won't be contested by the enemy beforehand. Make sure you and your jungler stand on opposite sides of the Rift Herald to constantly proc the eye for the 1k true damage burst, decreasing the kill time and damage you will have to tank overall. Immediately after taking the buff, go either top or mid and look to push down towers with your jungler, and then rotate to other lanes and push them too. The Rift Herald buff lasts for 2 minutes, which gives you enough time to siege at least 2 lanes for sure, if not all 3. The bigger the minion wave the better, but don't get stuck wasting your time mid lane if the enemy has amazing wave clear. Using Rift Herald to take towers should not just give you, but your entire team a nice advantage early on that can be used to decide fights later in the game. The next tip involves my favorite warding spot for top lane. We will also briefly talk about how to place this ward without losing any minions. To pull this off, you must shove the wave back to your opponent's tower, giving yourself a window to roam and ward while the tower is killing your minions. You should be able to place the ward and get back to lane without missing any minions. So this part of the tip is pretty basic. Shove and then roam. Now let's talk about my favorite ward spot. By shoving the wave, we bought ourselves some time, which we can use to get our deep ward that will give us early detection of possible ganks. You place the ward between blue and Gromp. This ward will spot both camps and 3 possible jungle paths. This early detection is amazing for your entire team and gives your team so much information on where the enemy jungler likely is. Knowing what side of the jungle the enemy is on allows all lanes to play more aggressively around the enemy jungler positioning. Anytime the jungler gets spotted in your ward, your bot lane knows they are free to play aggro for 30 seconds or more. And our last tip focuses on how to chase people down. Yes, it sounds really stupid, but you'd be surprised, even in my games, I constantly see people not understand this concept. Taking proper angles of pursuit is something I learned playing football when I was a slow defensive lineman trying to catch fast running backs. In order to catch them, I simply can't follow the path that they are running because they are faster than me. Even if somehow I was faster, they already have a head start anyways. Instead, I should be looking ahead and run to where they are going to be and not where they are right now. The most obvious spot for poor angles of pursuit is when chasing someone from one tier 1 tower to the other. The lane curves and so many people try and run away through the bushes to deny vision. But if the person chasing them knows how to take proper angles, they can cut them off by hugging the wall by the river and running a shorter distance. By running a shorter distance with a better angle, you allow slower champions to catch faster ones, and you can even make up large distance gaps. As well as after you land a hit on your opponent, make sure to spend time in between your auto attacks running ahead of them, instead of just standing still. That way you can chase them a lot better overall and use the downtime between your auto attacks.
And that's just about it. Once again, a huge thanks to SoloRenektonOnly for helping me with the video, as it definitely wouldn't have been possible without him. You can check out his channel in the link below or the annotation on the screen, and I definitely recommend him to anyone practicing top lane. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.